Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. I'm Chris with Chris Tech Tips. Today we've got an awesome little treat. We've got a 2020 Beta Evo 80cc little trials bike. This thing is super trick. A good friend of mine owns it. He actually bought it for his son. They took it out riding this last weekend up in the mountains. I had a little trouble. Actually swamped it in a creek.
There you go.
Of course, they got it out, tipped it upside down, got all the water out of the motor. They just brought it to me to do kind of a once over. We noticed the oil and transmission looked a little milky. We're gonna go ahead and change that. We'll pull the exhaust pipe off, make sure there's no water in that. And then just go do a once over and make sure everything's okay. So let's get into this.
All right, let's go ahead and start removing the exhaust. I just want to take the exhaust pipe off, make sure there's no water in it. Next, I'm going to go ahead and remove the coolant. Always remove the cap, that way you get a nice even flow. This thing really rushes out. And we'll go ahead and remove the hose clamps on the two sides here. I was actually unable to remove the exhaust without damaging the coolant lines. I definitely wanted to get those out of the way, and they kind of fought me a little bit. They are snug on there, but I took a larger pick and just kind of worked around them to free it up and was able to get it off. No water in the exhaust pipe, which I was kind of surprised. Then I always take some oil and flush the system out. I'll actually kick it over a few times, not start it, but roll the motor over a few times. All right, now that we've got the drain bolt installed, we'll go ahead and add fresh oil. And I like to use this MTL Maxima 85 weight gear oil. And this particular model holds 0.5 liters. And I'll go ahead and double check the sight glass. Looks like we're good to go. All right, let's go ahead and remove this top piece so we can get to the intake. It's just held on by these 4 Phillips screws. Then you just got to watch these tabs at the rear part by the rear fender. It'll just loosen the rear of the intake cover, and then it's got that rubber, kind of a rubber band strap that fits across. Go ahead and remove that. Now you can take a look and see what we found on the intake. There is a little bit of dirt down in here, but not too bad. Next, let's go ahead and remove the carburetor. Right there you can see there's a rear brake reservoir I just moved out of the way. Then we just want to loosen up those 2 hose clamps. That way we can remove the carburetor. Now you can see here I'm just removing the 4 Phillips screws on the bottom of the float bowl. Just want to go through this carburetor, check the jets, make sure there's no mud and dirt in there. Yep, found a little bit of dirt. Not too bad though. Also, to note, he was telling me when he swamped this, he was cleaning this on the side of the trail because the only thing it would do is idle and it wouldn't rev up. So he was taking the fuel out of the fuel tank and just pouring it on top of the dismantled carburetor, just washing all the mud and dirt and debris out. So I thought he did a pretty good job. And right here you can see on the fuel screw, I did find a little bit of mud and debris in there. I'll just go ahead and clean this out with our contact cleaner. Make sure you spray all those orifices, and then we'll take the air hose, go ahead and really blow all that stuff out, make sure it's nice and clean. Now right here I'm just removing the needle and seat assembly. Want to make sure I clean that out in case there's any dirt or debris in there. And we'll just go ahead and reinstall the floats, make sure those work, and install the main jet. Then I like to take a thin layer of grease and just apply it to the float bowl gasket. That way it just kind of holds it into place. Then we'll go ahead and reinstall the float bowl. Make sure those are nice and snug. Then we'll go ahead and install the throttle valve assembly. And once I get that installed, I usually just give the throttle a quick twist to make sure there's no kinks or binds in it. And then I take a little thin layer of grease and I apply it to both carburetor boots. That way the carburetor just slides nice and easy into place. Right here I'm just taking a little extra time to route my fuel and vent lines into place. Get that carburetor seated just right. Then we can go ahead and lock those hose clamps down. And next I'm going to go ahead and replace the spark plug. And also make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. make sure you hit that notification bell because I've got an awesome Africa Twin that we're going to do a whole bunch of aftermarket accessories. So definitely want to check that video out. And of course, last but not least, you want to take your blue Loctite, throw a little bit of that on that rear brake reservoir bolt, and we'll lock that into place. All right, now that we've got all the water drain, the carb clean, transmission oil change, let's go ahead and throw this thing back together. Now, we're putting this exhaust pipe on, and it's really a tight fit, especially on that front right frame bar right there. And then in the back, it's got a little grommet that slides on the muffler. Now we'll just go ahead and bolt this down. Okay, next up, let's go ahead and reattach the coolant lines. Snug those hose clamps into place. Go ahead and use some engine ice. Stuff works really good. Put my drain pan in there, just probably make a little mess. And a cool little trick here is you just want to pinch the lower radiator hose, pinch and release really fast. It just kind of works the air bubbles out of the system and allows me to fill it all the way full. All right, next up, let's get this air filter cover on. Now, I went ahead and cleaned the air filter and then took some Bel-Ray foam filter oil and oiled it really well. Now, there's a little plastic strap that you've seen. You just strap that across the lid, and then we'll go ahead and throw the top plastics on. Now, this is just held down by 4 little screws, and the only thing you have to watch out for is where it attaches to the back portion. There's 2 little tabs on both sides. Once you lock those into place, nice, clean, easy fit. Next, we'll go ahead and install the skid plate. Now, this is pretty easy. It's all threaded on the rear, so I went and started it there. Right here on the front, you can see it has nuts on the back side. Takes a little bit more time. You gotta pinch your fingers in there, but it locks down nice and easy. Next, let's go ahead and test start. Well, it looks like we got it. There's just one more thing that I noticed. I'm just gonna go ahead and remove the plastic sight glass and give it a good clean. All right, you see these bikes are excellent to get these youngsters started out on. Really good balance, throttle control, clutch, brake. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you guys learned something from this video. Make sure to give me a thumbs up because that does something weird with the YouTube algorithm. Just helps me pop up into other places. Helps my channel grow. Also, feel free to leave me some comments on some do's and don'ts and some upcoming builds that you guys would like to see. Make sure you hit that notification bell because I've got a new video coming up. You don't want to miss it. So we'll catch you in the next one. See ya.